Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a review show special. This is where I take a deep dive and a particular real close-up look at a particular trick, a particular product, a particular creator, a particular company. And today I'm going to be looking at Stellar Magic. I'm going to be talking about Chris Congreave. I'm going to be talking about Chris's new book, More Commercial Killers, which is available right now through Stellar Magic and also via Murphy's, through all your favorite magic dealers. Now, I will tell you before I start, I am not a biased reviewer. However, I've known Chris for many years. He's a very good friend. I'm a big fan of his material. His style is very similar to my style. He gave me this. He gave me a signed copy. I did not pay for this. And he wrote inside there to Craig, lots of love and kisses, which is very, very nice of him. So I just want to let you know up front, I did not pay for this. However, I would be more than happy to tell Chris that this is shit. It would make me so happy to turn around to him and go, Chris, this is crap. It has one use, and that's for me to wipe my arse with it. Unfortunately, I can't, because this is amazing. So this is Chris's fifth book of his own commercial material. In the last few years, he's published multiple books. This is his fifth one. He also brought out another book called Alas, Chris and Jones, which was material from him and Gary Jones. But what you have here is all of Chris's own material that he spent the last year developing. And there's a ton of material in here, an absolute metric ton. We're going to go through some of it in a bit. But before we do, I had a chance to sit down with Chris and talk to him about the content of this book. I asked him a few questions when he started writing it. What's his thought process when writing the book? What does he think of the material in here? So let's have a look at that interview with Chris. And then after the interview, I'm going to talk you through the book and I'm going to give it a full review. So, guys, it is Sunday. It's 9 o'clock, which means it's time for well, this is the time on the channel where I review a product, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm reviewing a product, and as part of this review, I am speaking to a living legend in the magic community, somebody who has had, I think he's probably created more magic than anybody put together. You take Michael Amar, you take Jay Sankey, Richard Sanders, put them all together. They don't even come close to the amount of material this guy has created, and it is all commercial killer material. He's a very good friend of mine, and it's always an exciting time when he releases a new product, but it's especially exciting when he brings a new book out, and this is his latest book. We're going to be talking about it on this week's show. Let's talk about More Commercial Killers, and I'm going to be sitting down and chatting briefly with the living legend himself, Mr. Chris Congreave. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm excited. I got a red book in my hand.
Red book?
I got another Chris Congreave book, red book.
Another red book? I'm not sure about creating more magic than all those guys you mentioned, but still.
In all seriousness, mate, you have, before we get into this and we talk about the book, I think it's important that we kind of, for anybody that maybe isn't aware of what you've accomplished in your career, you've been doing this for a very long time. You've been bringing magic out for a very, very, very long time. I mean, you were right there when, you know, I kind of think of the kind of the golden years of magic publications were when RSVP were doing their thing, and you had you and Gary Jones and Lee and, you know, all of those guys that were kind of releasing stuff, and you kind of all were jumping on each other's projects. That was kind of where you cemented your legacy. You were working with everyone. You were working with Full 52 for a while on things like the Light, so on and so forth, and RSVP and Alakazam, and then you've continued to create magic. You've continued to do it. You must have been creating magic now for about 25 years, right? I must have about 25 years.
About 20 years. Yeah, not quite 25. I think my first actual commercial release, I've done some notes and stuff, I think, but my first commercial release was about 2007, I think, something like that, with Alakazam. And you had a trick on there, but and this was before you were sort of really well published, and it was ice coins, and you had, and because it was obviously using.
Pete Nardi has spoken to me about wanting you to bring ice coins back out.
Yeah, we should do that, because it's something that's like you can make them so much better now. The technology's there to make them look better. But the actual main effect that was on there, which was essentially like an omni-deck finish to a coin routine, right? And it's, you know, it was something I used to do that in walk around, and people used to be freaking out. And then you get to the tables and do it again with a pack of cards, and people used to like proper freak out. So all of a sudden, you know, you're getting, you know the reactions you get from an omni deck anyway. You're getting an even bigger pop because they've seen it already with coins. So when you do it again with a pack of cards, it's like, what the hell's going on? So yeah, about 20 years, mate, almost, maybe 19 years, something like that, whatever.
Yeah.
Better that.
And the key thing is, a lot of people just create magic, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there are some people that just focus on creating magic. They're not really performers. You're one of a small group of people that perform and create. You tend to find a lot of performers, they focus on performing, they don't really create magic. You tend to find a lot of creators, they'll focus on creating and they won't really perform that much. But you've done both your entire career, which I think what makes it so good and so commercial, because I know you work everything in. It's not stuff that you just think.
Yeah, I don't like to put anything out unless I've tried it and worked it. And I'm not saying I'll do everything at every gig, because obviously that's impossible. But I will. Anything that I release, I will at some point have worked it at a real gig and for real people, and just sort of gauge the reactions. And very often, you know, I'll have, and I'm sure you've done this, you've got something that you think, oh, this is going to be great, you know, this is going to go down really, really well, and you get there and it just falls flat. And I mean, I've been stuff off before now. I'll go through my magic drawer where I've got playing cards and stuff, and I've got things where I've made, you know, decks that I've made up and stuff that I've done, and then I can't even remember what they were for, because at the time I thought, oh, this is great, this is going to go down really well. Nothing. But by the same token, excuse me, other things that you do, and we were talking about it earlier, cloak, for example, you know, you think it's going to be okay and it's going to do all right, and then, you know, people just really respond to it. So you have to try these things out, and the best way to try it out is to perform it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and they were like, oh, Craig, you must have brought out more magic than anybody, or you must have created more magic than anybody. And I said to them, I actually brought you up, and I was like, I'm pretty sure Chris has created more magic than me, because when I bring out a trick, it's normally just a single trick. It's like, right, okay, this is the trick. This is what it is. Whilst you this is what, your 7th book, maybe your 8th book?
No, 5th.
You count the Gary Jones, the stuff that you did with Gary as well.
Yeah, so that's the 5th book on my own magic, and then I wrote the one with me and Gary as well. Yeah, so 6
books. And each one has like a bunch of routines in it.
Yeah,
that's much more than what I've done. Like, and the thing is, and we'll get into this book in a minute, but this is true of all of your books. I read them and I'm like, that could be a standalone trick. If I'd created that one, that would be a standalone trick. That would be a standalone trick. I remember trying to tell you the thing that you did in a book, like maybe it was 3 books back or something. And you were doing the thing with the torn card and the pieces in the envelope and all that. I said to you, that should be a single trick. That should be if I'd come up with that idea, that would be in a box with an envelope, cards, refills, little tutorial. That would be what that is. And you're just like, no, it's going in the book.
Well, what I've done, sometimes you can do both. So that trick you're talking about, I am going to have some of those at Blackpool this year to sell, with a Tyvek envelope and everything, as well as one of my other tricks, and I've called it the double A side, and it's a bit like, you're about the same age as me, a bit younger, but you remember the vinyls, and you used to get a double A side, right? So the artwork for the packaging is a double A side, like an album, and that's one of them. But what I've found, mate, and over the last few years, is the people who buy and read books are a different breed of magician and different people to the ones who buy all the tricks. So I think it's trying to cover both bases, really. And but yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, at my stand at Blackpool and when I'm at conventions and stuff, you know, I'll show people stuff from the book, and they'll go, "Oh, can I buy that trick?" And I go, "Look, it's in there with another 28 tricks. You know, just buy the book." And I love sitting with a magic book. You can't beat it. It's fantastic, you know.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
But the amount of people who say to you, oh, you know, I can't learn from books. Okay, well, you're missing out. But you know, you and I, we were brought up on magic books, and videos were just coming through, weren't they, when we got into magic? You know, you used to get the L&L stuff and the trick of tape stuff, but really it was books, you know, and Royal Road and things like that. You know, and people have lost that now. It's a shame, really. But there you go.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Completely agree. And you know what? I remember speaking to Paul Gordon about this. And I remember him saying to me that there was this guy that came up to him at Blackpool a few years ago, and on day one he went over to his booth, and Paul was just demming stuff out of his book, and this guy was like, "Oh, I don't buy books, I don't do that." And then he saw Paul in the bar or something, and Paul did this trick, and he's like, "Oh, I want to buy that. Where can I buy it from?" And he's like, "Well, it's in the book." And the guy was like, "I don't want to buy a book. Can I just buy that trick?" And he was like, "No, it's in the book with like 30 other tricks." And I think that's the problem, you know, these days, you and me, we got brought up on books. These days, some people don't want that. They want the instant gratification of a little tutorial.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said in there, to be able to sit these days. You can sit on your phone with your headphones on and watch a video, a tutorial video and stuff like that. But even like the multi-trick DVDs are a thing of the past, and videos and stuff now. It's all gone, hasn't it? You know, I'd love to bring that back. I'd love that. You know, stuff like that. But there doesn't seem to be any appetite for it at the moment, does there?
No, there's not, and it's such a shame. But in terms of your book, I want to ask you a question, because I want to talk about this. Obviously, that's what this is all about. But before I do, this is your 5th book of solo material. But then there was a bunch of stuff in the alas, what was it? Smith and Jones. No, alas, Chris and Jones. Great book. They're all great books. The first, like, I know when you bought your first book out, which was called, what was it? What was the very first book called?
The first book was published by Magic Scene, and it was called Congreave's Curiosities.
That's right. Okay. So when you've bought your first couple of books out, that's material that you've been doing for years.
Yes.
Because obviously you were all of the stuff that you've created for years, and you were kind of putting it together into book form.
Yeah.
We're now on book 5, book 6, book 5.5, whatever you want to call this.
Yeah, book 5.
Are we still dipping into the material from years back? Your process with a book like this? So do you sit down and you go, right, okay, I'm going to write a new book? Do you, because I know it's a couple of years between books, so it's kind of like, and I know you start working. Yeah, and I know you start working on the next book pretty much before the first book's being finished, because I know that the cutoff point, right? So you get to a point where you're like, I can't put any more material into this book. That'll go in the next one. What's the process for this? So do you? Do you kind of go, right, I'm going to create stuff? I'm really interested in knowing. You know,
it's an interesting question. So, yeah, basically, it's like any other job. It's work. I sit there and I think, right, I need to come up with a bunch of tricks for my new book, and I'll get a pack of cards out, and I'll get a load of card gaffs out, and all the rest of it, and I'll physically. There's a trick in here called Mac Sandwich, and I love it. It's one of my favourite tricks in this new book. I absolutely love it. And I literally just got the cards out, got some gaffs out, and came up with it in 5 minutes. And then other things, I don't know, you must do this when you're sort of laying in bed at night and you're about to fall asleep, and all of a sudden you're like, and you have a really good idea, it just pops into your head. So yeah, it depends. Sometimes it's like it's work and you have to sit there and physically work at it, and other times it's just a moment of inspiration. So yeah, it's a bit of both, really. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the first book that I wrote was all that stuff before that you've just mentioned, and then the next one that I wrote was during lockdown in 2020. So I've literally done one book each year since 2020.
Wow, that's incredible. I want to ask you another question before we get on to talking about this book. And this is something that I've seen through a lot of the books that you've brought out. There's a lot of card material. There's a lot of cards. And I know, because I've gigged with you, you've got a very eclectic range of magic when you're performing close-up. There's rope, there's coins, there's rings, there's strings, and even the material that you bought out. I mean, there's very few. I mean, there are card routines, but there's like, Monopoly and Safe, and we just talked about Cloak, and before that, in the old days, it was the Light. And you've bought out a lot of non-card material. But a lot of the stuff that I see in your books is card magic. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because let's be honest, most magicians love card magic above and beyond anything else. But why is it that when you release a physical product, you kind of, I would say you've released more non-card material as physical products than you have card routines, and yet a lot of your material that goes in books is card magic. It's something, because I've read all of your books, I'm aware of all of your products. It's something I've kind of always wondered about, but never actually asked you.
Do you know? I don't know. I've never really thought about it. I think I've released quite a lot of card stuff now, but I think really, if you're writing something in a book, it's pointless putting something in a book where they've got to have a specially printed gimmick, because it's just, if you're not going to supply them with a gimmick, then there's absolutely no point in putting it in the book. So that's probably the main reason. I mean, I've put a few coin routines in and things, but I don't really come up with many coin routines very often. I've got a coin routine that I do in my lectures that I've never written up, and honestly, it's so technical. It'd be an absolute nightmare to write up. There's a lot of like switches and all that. It's not difficult, but just technical. And it'd be an absolute nightmare to write up. I might write it up one day, but at the moment, it'd probably take up half the book. It used to take about 15 minutes of my lecture to describe this routine. You could see people nodding off after a bit. So I'm not doing it in my next lecture, I don't think. But yeah, I think that's the main reason. Is you can't put stuff in a book that people can't do because they haven't got the things to do. It just doesn't seem fair and right.
Yeah. I'm with you. It was interesting, but I want to talk about more. So this is called More Commercial Killers.
Yes.
And I would say it's the 5th book of your solo material.
Yes.
You've got a forward by Michael. No, I always say his name wrong. Michelle. Right. Michelle.
Huo, yeah.
Huo. I'm terrible. Which is amazing.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about this book. Like, if people, so here's the first thing. If people haven't read any of your material,
yes,
they're not really aware of who you are.
Yeah.
What or tricks would you suggest that they look at first to get a flavour of what Chris Congreave is?
Okay. So good question. No bull. He's a lie detector with a lot of inbuilt comedy. So when I'm performing, I have a lot of comedy in my set, and I tell a lot of gags, and I'm quite. I'm funnier at work. I'm funnier when I'm at a gig than I am right now. Let's put it that way. So I can be quite funny, and this is something that's quite funny. So that'll give you a good feeling of what I'm about. What else? The sandwich routine I really love. It's called Mac Sandwich, and it's the easiest sort of sandwich routine ever. I mean, it's just like this, and it's so fair looking. You'll film magicians with it as well. I've caught loads of magicians with it, and that's a little bit about what I am. And the other thing that I really like as well, and I'm just going to try and find it because I can't remember what it's called. It's a self-working card trick, and I don't know if you've read this yet, called Die Another Day. Have you seen that yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
What's that? Well, I've seen the Bond film, but not the trick.
So it's basically a self-working card trick using dice and cards, and it's something that and it's me down to a T. You'll read it and you'll know why I say this, because it's self-working. It's a lot of subtlety rather than sleights. I don't mind, as you know, I don't mind doing sleight of hand, but I've got nothing against that, and I do a lot of sleight of hand. But if you can do something and subtly, and especially for magicians as well, it's great. And it's also got writing on the back of the card, so I'm always a sucker for a bit of that as well.
To say the least, like stickman and writing on the back of cards. There's got to be at least one of them.
Do you know what? I don't think I don't think there's a stick man in this book, but there is plenty of writing on the back of cards.
I refer to page 42, Chris.
Oh, I forgot about him. Yeah, there's one stick man then. Oh dear, how embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I've always liked about your books as well? Not just the fact that it's commercial material. There's three things I like about a Chris Congreave book. One, it's commercial material. I look at it and I go, oh, I could see myself doing that. I can see myself doing that. And I don't do that with a lot of books. A lot of the time when I open up a book, I look at it and I go, nah, 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 maybe. Nah. But and I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. Every single page, every single trick I look at, I go, oh yeah. And just from reading the effect, that's how I read a book. I never read a whole magic book. I read the effect. And if the effect grabs me, then I'm going to read the trick. And every effect grabs me. That's the first thing I love about the books that you write.
Well, we both geeked out. We both work, and we both do. You know, we both know what works in the real world, and this is what I've tried to do. It's you know, I mean, some of these things. You mentioned it earlier, Canopoly, for example, right? If anybody's not familiar with Canopoly, it came out last year with Alakazam, and essentially it's a trick with Monopoly cards. Okay, and there's no way you're going to do that at the sort of gigs that we do, all the time. There's just no way. However, if you're doing a parlor show, it's fantastic. It's perfect, because it's props that people are used to and all the rest of it. And that's the thing, you would read that and you would immediately go, parlor show, I could do that in a parlor show, because we do the same sort of gigs. And that's the thing, it's that's why it's called commercial, because it is commercial. We both earn our living from performing magic. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that. I love that. I also love the fact that you include a couple of essays. Every book has a couple of essays, and I always find them interesting. And this year, or this book, you've tackled pocket management and misdirection, which I've never seen you talk about before. That was fascinating. That was really fascinating.
Yeah, misdirection is interesting, isn't it? I've done. I did a little talk at the Magic Circle about it recently, and then we ended up going off on different tangents while we were there. People, especially if you're a new performer, people sort of worry about misdirection, and it becomes this mythical thing. It's like, oh, how can I use misdirection to do a top change, for example? And it's the easiest thing in the world, because all you've got to do is just it's the wrong word, isn't it? It's not misdirection, really. It's redirection, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And I use several things and I talk about this in the essay for misdirection. One of which is humour. I'll tell a few jokes and a few one-liners and stuff. People start laughing. That's misdirection. You don't realise it, but it is, because what are people doing whilst they're laughing? They're doing this. They're closing their eyes and laughing. You could top change an elephant and they're not going to notice, And it just talks about that. There's different forms of misdirection. I'll talk about it in the context of one of the routines that I'll perform. Child's Play, another routine that I put out years ago. There's a point in that routine where you have to palm a card and load it into your wallet or into your pocket or whatever. And I talk about this at lectures and say, if anybody's nervous about performing a palm, this is the perfect thing, because what I do is I get one person to choose a card, but don't show anybody else. Just hold it there. The next person names a card, and then you've got the card that you want to palm on the top of the deck, and you say, now you show everybody else your card. Everybody's looking at them now. The whole room's looking at them. You could literally take that card off the top of the pack and load it into your wallet, because the misdirection is so strong. And it's just things like that, really, mate. It's just to someone like you who's been performing for years. It's stuff that you do it without even thinking about it. But people who are sort of new to it and haven't done gigs before, or just getting into it, hopefully reading this will give them a good insight, really. And the other one is pocket management as well. And again, that's something that I worried about when I first started doing gigs. And after a while, it becomes second nature. But you don't read many books or see many things where people actually talk about that. It's sort of like just you have to get on with it and puzzle it out all for yourself, really. Which, again, is now a bad thing. But if there's something there that will just give you a little bit of a helping hand, then why not?
Yeah, I completely agree. 100%. I love that. This is a great book. I mean, obviously, I'm going to take it into the studio and give it a full review. But I mean, this is available from all dealers, but you can get it directly from you, from Stellar Magic, and it's always great to support the creator. And you ship worldwide, right? Obviously, if you get it from you, you will sign it, just like my copy has been signed.
Yeah. Are you going to tell everybody what I put?
To Craig, lots of love and kisses. Now, I'm excited about that. I'm excited. This is pride of place in the bookshelf. It really is. I'm very, very excited. Thanks, man. So, but yeah, you can, and I imagine if somebody bought it from you, you could sign it for them and so on.
Yeah, sure. Yes, stellarmagicshop.com if you want to buy it direct from me. But as you rightly say, it's at the Murphy's Magic now. So, you know, if you go to your local magic dealer, they'll be able to get it in for you if they haven't already got it. It's been out for about 2 or 3 weeks, just over 2 weeks now. So it's selling sort of, you know, it's doing okay. Yeah, hopefully. Seems to be. So just wait for the reviews to come in now. But
well, I got one more question for you,
yes,
which is, are you working on book number 6?
I'm going to get Blackpool out the way, and once Blackpool's out the way, we'll see. I was thinking about doing a book on everybody else's magic next time. We talked about this. Do you remember when we were in Paris together a couple of years ago, and we were talking about doing a card, just putting, I think it was ungaffed card magic. So I was thinking about doing that. So I've got a couple of ideas, but I don't think I'm going to do a book of my own magic this time. I think I'm going to have a little bit of a collab and write up some other people's as well as a few of my own ideas. And then book number 6 will probably be in 2 years' time, I would imagine. But I said that last year, so who knows?
Well, I mean, the book that you did with Gary was amazing. So if you collab with somebody else, I'm sure that'll be just as good.
Well, I'm thinking of doing what Harry Lorraine did and what John Carey's just done, and you know, just going around all you know, loads of people I know and whatever in the industry and ask them and have a theme running through it. So, you know, you'll be getting a message, I have no doubt. Boy, Craig, can you do it? And obviously I'll write it all up and that. So that's possible. But I don't know, we'll see. It's like I said, I never thought that I'd write this one last year, but you know, once Blackpool's out the way and you sort of sit there and ideas start forming again, and before you know where you are, you're halfway through it, you know.
You are indeed. You are indeed, man. Well, I know it's going to be as good as this one. This is brilliant. I'm going to take this back into the studio now and give it a full review and perform a trick from it. But congratulations, Chris. This is incredible. Can't wait to see you at Blackpool. And congratulations with all your success.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks again. All right, catch you soon.
No problem. Guys, let's take it back into the studio, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I think of More Commercial Killers by Chris Congreave.
So there you go. Thank you to Chris Congreave for sitting down with me. It was quite late at night when I did that interview. In fact, I'd arranged it for 10 o'clock, and I fell asleep on the sofa. And at 20 past 10, my phone buzzed, and I looked at it, and it was Chris saying, "Are we doing this interview or not?" And I was like, damn, I fell asleep. So it was even later than we actually first anticipated. So thanks for staying up late, and I'm sorry that I let you down for the first 20 minutes, Chris. But this is the book. This is the book. So it's very well produced. It's small, not in terms of size, but in terms of it's not like one of those big Richard's Elmignac style books, but there's a lot of pages. You've got 109 pages altogether. No illustrations, but really well photographed, as you can see. There's photographs when it needs to be. One thing that winds me up is when I see a book and there's like photos in there for absolutely no reason. This is, you know, every single photo actually has a reason for being in there. And what we have here, so first of all, you have a foreword from Michel Huit, which is amazing. He's one of my favorite magicians. And then after that, we go straight into the tricks. And these are all commercial tricks. Most of them are card magic and mentalism. When I say mentalism, it's more like mental magic. and very, very commercial stuff. If you know Chris's stuff, you'll know it's designed to be worked in the real world. There's very little in terms of reset. There's very little in terms of difficulty. Even though Chris has chops, and even though Chris can do the sleight of hand, a lot of the time he doesn't need to. And so the first trick is no match, which is very, very good. Then he's got a coin trick. Signed coin to anywhere again, which is actually a really, really good idea. The spectator signs a coin, and without any cover, the signature vanishes from the coin, and the signed coin is then produced from a nest of purses, a small tin, or a passing waiter's pocket. It's actually a really good idea. A lot of the time, when you see like a coin or an object to impossible location, the focus is on where it's appearing and not on the vanish. But Chris is focused on the vanish. Very, very clever thought process there. Really, really like that. Now, this is one of my favorites. This next one here, a predictable stroller. This is really good. It reminds me a little bit of Diminishing Not Likely, but a really cool finale to it. And I really appreciated all the magic that was taking place in there. So I'm going to do a performance of this. This is a performance of a predictable stroller. And this is true. This is actually a really great strolling magic trick. And you can kind of get into it immediately. You're left with a regular deck. There are a couple of gaffs that you can add on at any point. You're left with a regular deck and it will instantly reset. And as with every good Chris Congreave trick, you're writing on the back of a card. Let's have a look at that. Michael, you want to see a great card trick, Michael?
Yeah.
Would you like to see, Michael, the difference between a good trick and a goddamn miracle?
Sure.
I'm going to show you the difference between a good card trick and a goddamn miracle, and it involves a pack of cards being shuffled. Now, before we do anything, can you do me a favor? We're going to have a card picked. As I go through, just say stop anytime you want.
Stop.
Right there?
Yeah.
You sure? Can you look at that card for me?
Yeah.
You remember it?
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it down in the middle. Okay, so you've picked a card. That is going to be the card that I use to do the absolute miracle.
Okay.
And I will shuffle the cards again because it is really important that you realise that this is a fair trick. So, well, as fair as it can be when you're a magician. So we have a deck of cards. You have a card picked. I'm going to perform a miracle with that trick. But so you understand the frame of reference, I also have to show you a good trick. So we'll do the same thing. I'll tell you what, just say stop.
Stop.
Right there, you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll use this one as well. Now, let me show you that card. It's not the same as the first one, is it?
No.
Because that would be a bona fide miracle. That would be incredible. This is the card we're going to use to do the good trick. Then it goes down about halfway in the deck. Did you see that?
Yeah.
You're going to leave it about halfway down. It's important I don't shuffle the cards. I don't want you to think I'm controlling them or something, because that's not the case. I'm going to take the top 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. Those 4 cards are going to tell me everything I need to know about that second card that you picked. Not the first one, that's a miracle, but the second one. You see, believe it or not, all I have to do is snap my fingers. And by doing that, the cards tell me everything I need to know. This card here tells me the color of your card. It tells me your card is a black card because that is a black card, the Ace of Clubs. Yeah. The second card, this one here, tells me the suit of your card. You see, that's an Ace of Clubs, tells me your card's a suit. The next one, this one here, tells me that your card's a picture card or a number card because it's an ace. That's technically part of the picture card, so it could be an ace, a jack, a queen, a king. And this one here tells me what your card looks like. It looks like the Ace of Clubs. I think, my friend, that you picked the Ace of Clubs. Was that correct?
Correct.
Now, that's a good trick. But that's not a bona fide miracle. You want to see a bona fide miracle?
Yeah.
Watch. Because you see, all I have to do is snap my fingers just like that. And when I snap my fingers, the card that you picked, that first card, watch right here, because on the back of that card, it comes up 3 of hearts. Was that your card? But check this out, not just on the back of that one. Believe it or not, it's got 3 of hearts on that one. 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 All of them have got 3 of hearts on. Do you know why each one of these cards has got 3 of hearts on them? It's because you picked the 3 of hearts. Is that right?
Yeah.
But obviously, if I wanted to get your Ace of Clubs back, I'd just snap my fingers just like that. There's the Ace of Clubs face up in the middle of the 3 other cards with 3 of hearts on it. And that is a bona fide miracle. Okay, so the next one is No Bull, which is a typical Chris Congreave. Chris loves magic that's funny. And that comes from the fact that he's a commercial worker. He performs in gigs where he's got to get people laughing. He's a very funny performer. I've worked with Chris at many gigs, and he always makes me laugh my ass off. And you know that it's going to be a classic Chris Congreave trick when you see that you need to make a crib, and on the crib there's 4 things. 1, smell. 2, underwear. 3, fart. And 4, person. That tells you everything that you need to know. I just love it. It's very, very funny. This one's really cool. Card in Sharpie. A card vanishes from the pack and is found rolled up inside a previously examined Sharpie pen. I very much like that as well. And he says here, there's several ways to perform this effect. I'll first explain a really cool way to vanish the card that will fool magicians, and it will, followed by another version that's easier to manage at gigs, so you don't even have to worry about the gimmick. And I love the fact that Chris does this. He has multiple routines. He has multiple ways of doing the same routine. I love it. And I love that one thing that really stands out in this particular book is the fact that there are so many routines where there's a big kicker at the end. You know, he does a trick, and then at the end, it's kind of like a really big kicker. This one here, this one, Perfect Match, is one of the best uses for the jinx switch I've ever seen. This one here, Pickpocket, is a kind of a variation of a routine of his called Pseudo Pickpocket, which is great. I love Pseudo Pickpocket. He put that on one of his Workers' Corners routines. I'm not going to go through every single thing here. This is great. Card in the car. Listen to this. A card is selected and returned to the deck. 4 cards are placed face down on the table, and a toy car is introduced. The spectator moves the car along the cards and stops at any one. You say your card will be under the car. When they turn over the card, it's the wrong one. You clarify, I didn't say it would be it, I said it would be under the car. When they turn the car over, there's a miniature playing card underneath that matches the spectator's selection. You then snap your fingers over the card, and it's changed into their selection. Really, really cool idea. Said he's been doing it since the 2000s. It reminded me of a very interesting variation on Super Lucky Coin by Eric Tate. Visible Deck, again, very, very good. Not going to say anything there. Visible Childish Deck. There's your Stickman routine. This one here, Mac Sandwich. Right, boom. Okay, Mac Sandwich is the trick of the book. The trick of the book. I'm telling you right now, Mac Sandwich is the best sandwich routine I have ever seen. Mac Sandwich is amazing. By the way, the other thing that I want to point out about these routines, some books, when you're reading how trick's done, it's like 55 pages to get one Elmsley count. Chris keeps it very direct and very simple. And I love that. It doesn't take me long to read a Chris Congreave trick written up in a book, and I love that. But Mac Sandwich, okay, this is an incredible sandwich routine. Now, when I say it's incredible, I mean it. This is an incredible sandwich routine. I'm about to perform it for you. I absolutely love it. I will tell you, I've slightly changed it slightly. And how I've changed it is the ending. So, well, look, let's have a look at a performance first of all, and then I'll kind of talk you through what I did. Pack of cards are all there. They're all different. That fair?
Yeah.
I will tell you right now, I've got the two. I went through and I took two aces. Which I've put right here. Those aces are going to become really important later on, okay? Yep. But first of all, I'm going to have you pick a card, and it's really important that you realise you can have any card at all. So here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to spread the cards out like this. Just say stop.
Stop.
Right there.
Yeah.
It's really important that people realise this is not a force, mainly because this is not a force. I don't want to, it's genuinely not. So I want people to realise that. So this is the card. Are you happy with that one, or do you want to change your mind?
Happy with that.
Okay. And I want you to know as well that I want you to say I'm not controlling the card. The reason I want you to know I'm not controlling the card is because I'm not controlling the card. The card goes down into the middle. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Any fairer, you would at this point be cheating me. Watch. I'm going to put the first ace, the ace of diamonds, down, I don't know, should we go, we'll put it down here, near the bottom. And we'll take the second ace, and we'll put it near the top. And I want you to see right there, you can see the aces at the top and the bottom. Now, I know something about your card. I know that your card is somewhere in this deck, in between the aces. right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go ever so slowly to prevent sleight of hand. Watch. I'm going to push the aces in here, give a little twist, snap my fingers, and check this out. Immediately, the aces go right there, completely gone, right there, in between the two aces. One card and one card only. What was your card?
The 10 of hearts.
And that could have been a signed card. Okay, so that's Mac Sandwich. Isn't that amazing? You just see the cards go boom, right into the middle. It's a genius idea by Chris. This is one of my favourite Chris Congreave tricks of all time. It's amazing. Now, I have changed it ever so slightly because when Chris did it, he put the aces face down into the face down deck. And when he spread the deck out, now they're face up in the middle. And I did it so that the aces are face up at the ends of the deck, and you put them in, and then boom, you spread and they go into the middle. I actually prefer the fact that they go face up into the middle. When Chris does it, he has the aces face down. That's the one change I've done. I've changed it slightly so I can do that. But outside of that, the routine you just saw, best sandwich trick of all time. Pisses over anything I've created, pisses over anything else I've ever seen. It's brilliant. Chris, honestly, I don't know if you're watching this, but if you are, genius. Absolutely genius. The other, and lots of pictures there as well. And it can be a signed card, by the way. There's no reason why it can't be a signed card. I know in the performance I didn't use a signed card, but you can do. It's just I didn't want to sign my brand new deck that I just opened, especially as I'm using it for a gig later. Die Another Day is another fantastic trick. And it's a variation of one of my favourite Paul Harris tricks of all time. I'm going to do a performance of this as well. So I'm going to perform this for you. This is Die Another Day. And the reason I want to perform this, simply because it's just so clever. It is really, really clever. Like, really clever. So, Michael.
Hello.
I'm going to show you an amazing trick. First of all, I want you to see that all the cards are there and they're all different. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Good stuff. We are going to remove the jokers. We'll put them to one side, and I'm going to show you the difference between reading somebody's mind and making a prediction. Okay?
Okay.
And it uses a deck of cards. Now, in order to read your mind, I want to make sure that there's absolutely no way I can be accused of cheating or manipulating stuff. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to have a card picked in a truly random way. I'm going to give you 3 dice. Can you take them off me, please, Michael? Thank you. They're invisible. Use your imagination. And obviously, they're normal dice. There's 6 sides, 6 numbers.
Yeah.
I want you to take the 3 dice and roll them on the table. Can you do that for me? Wonderful. Have you done that? And look at the 3 numbers that are on the top of the dice and add them together.
Okay.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to turn away, and I don't know how you're going to do this, but try your best. So that everybody at home knows the number that you're now thinking of. I want everyone at home to know. Whatever the total number is of the 3 numbers that are pointing up on the dice that you rolled, take that many cards off the top of the deck. So, for example, if you rolled a 1, a 1, and a 1, you take 3 cards off top, and then just put them away, putting you in the pocket so I can't see them. I will close my eyes. You do this. And when you're done, let me know. And I will turn back round. This is where I wish we hadn't got staffing problems, because then somebody could sit in here and do this with me. Don't worry, we're hiring more people, please, don't worry. So, would you agree that I couldn't possibly know the number? The people at home know your number as long as you were pointing the camera at the deck when you did it.
I hope it was.
But I couldn't possibly know your number, right? We're going to use that number that everyone knows but me, to have you think of a playing card. So I know the total number that you could have rolled is 18. It can't be more than 18. 3 dice, 6 on each one would be 18. So I'll take 18 cards off the top of the deck. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. You couldn't have rolled more than an 18. If you have, they're dodgy dice. We'll put the rest of the cards over there. And what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to go through these 18 cards, calling a number on each one. Whatever the number you're thinking of, remember the card at that number.
Okay.
So that's 1. And let me go through all of them, because if you go, got it, I'll know the card and the number, okay? So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. One of these cards you're thinking of, have you got it?
Yeah.
And I said I was going to show you the difference between reading somebody's mind and making a prediction. So first of all, the mind reading. You rolled a number.
Yeah.
Concentrate on the number. It's quite a small number, isn't it? Those 3 invisible dice that you rolled, there was at least one of them that had a 1 pointing up. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
Were 2 of them had 1 pointing up? No, just one of them. And one had a 2 pointing up, didn't it?
Yeah.
No, 2 of them had a 2 pointing up.
Yeah.
You had a 2, you had a 2, and you had a 1. The number you were thinking of is 5.
Yeah.
Now, this was with invisible dice, mate. I mean, how could I possibly know that? Which means, obviously, the card that you were thinking of was in the 5th position. Now, I don't know what that card was. What was the card? It was, can you remember?
King of Clubs.
The King of Clubs, right? And it's not like it's a deck full of King of Clubs. This is a regular deck. And for people watching at home, this is a regular deck of cards. There's not like 1,000 King of Clubs, but I said I was going to show you the difference between reading somebody's mind and making a prediction. Michael, I took these jokers out the deck from the very beginning. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Never showed you that there was something written on the other side. The King of Clubs. That, my friend, is making a prediction. I love the kicker ending. Like I said, a lot of the stuff that Chris does, there's a kicker ending to it. So with this, you know, you're telling them the number that they've rolled on imaginary dice. I mean, how strong is that? You're telling them the number on imaginary dice from a deck that they've shuffled, and then you show that you've predicted the card from the very, very beginning. It's brilliant. It really is so good. Wave is great, slightly more sleight of handy, lots more variations on variations. I could keep going forever. I'm going to perform one more for you. I'm going to perform one last trick, which is one of my favorites. These are all good. I love the misdirection card, by the way. That's really good. All the variations. We'll talk about the pocket management in a bit. Stop it. Right. Okay. This is great. I'm a big fan of any card at any number, as you know. This is an incredible any card at any number. An incredible any card at any number. And we talk about Chris, and we talk about him doing, you know, like kicker endings that you don't see coming. This has a kicker ending that just nobody sees coming. This is really strong. This could have been marketed as a separate trick if he wanted to. He didn't do, thank God. Now we can all do it if we've got the book. But let's have a look at this. This is Stop It. Deck of cards, if that's all right, Michael.
Yeah.
And this is going to be probably one of the best tricks that you've ever seen. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Good. We'll start by giving the cards a shuffle. And what would happen here is you, and I don't think you could do that. Can you reach forward and cut some cards? Can you? I mean, that's what we love about Magic TV. Nothing but professionalism. We're going to cut some cards. Now, if I asked you how many cards that you cut here, would you have any idea? You probably, you wouldn't.
Just over half-ish.
Just over half, but you don't really know exactly how many, right? In a second, we're going to have you cut again, and we're going to count the amount of cards.
Okay.
But first of all, this cut was just to get a card. So you could have cut any way you wanted to. We shuffled the cards. You could have cut anywhere. You cut there. Can you see that card? Very good. So you're now thinking of a card. I'm going to mix that card, shuffle it into the pack. In fact, I'll keep shuffling until you say stop.
Stop.
Right there.
Yeah.
We're trying to get the ad revenue, aren't we? I can understand that. I can understand that. We'll put these on top. So, would you like to shuffle all the cards, or you just leave them like this?
You can leave them as they are.
Leave them as they are. Okay. So, now, I need you to think of a number. And a lot of the time when you have people do that, they gravitate towards certain numbers. 7, you've heard lucky number 7, that's popular. So how we're going to generate this number is at random. I'm going to have you cut the cards. Wherever you cut, that's the number we'll use. And we're going to deal down to that number. So cut deep if you want to, but it's going to take forever. Although ad revenue, do whatever you want to. Cut some ad revenue. What do we make? 5 pence? YouTube, not the... Now, it's really important, Michael. It's really, really important to me and to everybody watching at home that you realise you have a free choice. If you want to, you can put those back on. We can do it again. Or are you happy with the position?
I'm happy with that.
You're happy with that. Yeah. If you're happy, Michael, I'm delighted. So let's count. We're going to go 1, 2. We'll count. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah. Are you happy with that?
Yeah.
We'll give the cards one more cut, like that. A cut. Do you want to shuffle again or just cut?
Do another shuffle.
Do another shuffle. Brilliant. Okay. Don't know if I can. Actually, I should be able to. Chris didn't cover this in the book. I'm sure I can. If you're seeing this, it means it's worked. Are we good? Are we good with that? I don't know. Yeah. I shouldn't have said you want to shuffle again because I don't know if you're allowed to. I think you are. It's Chris Congreave, of course you are. It's brilliant. It's fine. What could possibly go wrong? What was the number that we cut to? Can you remember?
14.
Now, if you were here, I mean, obviously you can't count the cards, but if you were here, you would be counting that number separately. I would not know what that number is, and you would have a number in your head that I didn't know. But it's out in the open. It's number 14. But let's just recap for a minute. You cut any way you wanted to, and you looked at a card. You then shuffled. We shuffled it in the pack, and we kept shuffling until you said stop. Then you selected a random number. If you cut some extra cards, we would have had a different number. Then we shuffled again. Still not sure whether I'm allowed to do that or not, but we're going to find out. And now we've got the deck. 14. Check this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's a card with stop in the 14th position. Oh my God. You could have had any number. You had 14. There's a card stop on the 14th position. Michael, this couldn't be. There's one card with stop on the back of it. What was the name of your card?
It's the 8 of Hearts.
That is a bona fide miracle. Actually, Michael, that's not a miracle. That's a bloody good trick that you could have had any card. You had the 8 of Hearts. You could have had any number. You had 14. There was a card at the 14th position with stop on it at the number that you said, and it was the card that you picked, but that's not a miracle, Michael. That is not miracle level material. This is a good Chris Congreave trick, not a miraculous Chris Congreave trick. In order for this to be considered a miraculous Chris Congreave trick, we would have to be able to show at the end that every other card in the deck is blank, and the only card that's printed is the 8 of Hearts with stop on it, and that you could examine every single one of these cards to your heart's content. Then that would be a miracle. There's about 5 or 6 tricks in this book that if you bought them as a standalone trick, and I'm saying this as a reviewer, if you bought them as a standalone trick, you'd be happy with it. And yet they're all in the book along with a whole bunch of other routines. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Really, really good. There are 2 essays in there. The first essay is on misdirection and follow a fantastic trick called the misdirection card that I mentioned earlier on. He's got 3 variations of that. And the other one is pocket management. You know, when you get a chance to read from a worker about pocket management, one of the most important things a close-up magician needs to take into consideration, then, you know, that's worth its weight in gold. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's a great book. You know, in the final words, he talks about lots of people he wants to thank. Doesn't mention me at all. I mean, there was a foreword that was written. Didn't ask me to write a foreword. Didn't ask me to write anything. Nope. I'm not even mentioned anywhere. I don't care. I can take it. In all seriousness, this is great. This is my favourite Chris Congreave book that's come out so far. Each one gets better. This is the best yet. And I will be performing that Mac sandwich for the rest of my life. I know it. It's brilliant. This gets 120% plus Tulin. I'm borrowing Ryland's rating system. It's that good. 120% plus Tulin. This is highly recommended. Beg, borrow, and steal a copy. Don't steal it, but beg or borrow a copy of this. And I don't know how many that Chris has got. I think they're going to sell out at Blackpool. I don't think he's got many copies for Blackpool. So if you do want to get this book and you are going to the Blackpool Magic Convention, make sure you go straight over to his stand. This is brilliant. Yeah, so there you go. 120% plus Tulin. Well done, Chris Congreave. So there you go, guys. That's another review show special in the bag. Do me a favor, let me know what you think in the comments down below. You want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel. You want to join the Netrix, and by the way, Chris Congreave is on the Netrix as well as one of the instructors. You want to join the Netrix, please do so. Go to thenetrix.com, my online streaming platform for magicians. You can access this immediately. I'm going to be back very, very soon with another video, so make sure that you watch out for that. Go and check out the stuff that I've put up in the last few days, and tomorrow I'm going to be here with a big blind expose special. I'm going to expose my own tricks so you know exactly what's going on. Until then, thanks for watching. My name's Craig, and this is Magic TV.